Hello and welcome everyone to Biz Coaching Coffee. We have another fantastic guest for you today. We have Lisa Beyer. She actually owns PR, I better get this right, PR Secrets. Is that right, Lisa?
You could say that. I have a course called Modern PR Secrets, and I wrote a book called Social PR Secrets, and I have an agency called the Buyer Group, which specializes in PR secrets. So I'm the PR secrets girl.
So now you see where we're going with this today. We are going to be talking about PR secrets. She's kind of a cross between PR, SEO, and social media. That's kind of her superpower. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me. And I came equipped with my latte.
Beautiful. So you've been checking me out. It's all about coffee. Excellent.
Yeah, and that's actually one of my PR secrets is coffee.
that's my superpower, my real superpower. So we kind of gave everyone a teaser of what you do, but tell us a little bit more of what you do and who do you serve?
So I come from a traditional public relations background, which was actually very boring up until about 10 years ago when Google and Facebook and basically like the opportunity of crossing into digital became a reality for PR. And then it became more exciting and gave business owners, small and large, lots of opportunities to get organic or earned media. Before this, it was the gatekeepers were the journalists. You had to pitch your story to the journalist. You had to depend on them to, pick you to be a source and get featured in a media outlet. And today that's all changed. So the people that I serve, I was an agency owner for 20 years, and I reset my business model to take my message and my education to business owners and marketers that they can now leverage the superpowers of combining SEO, social media with public relations to level up their earned media opportunity. So my courses and my book teach business owners and entrepreneurs and marketers how to level up their business and get media attention, which turns into social proof, which ends up reducing the cost of advertising. And you can't replicate any type of media coverage in an ad. You're never going to say as featured in Facebook, right? Like you can say as featured in Forbes magazine or as featured in Entrepreneur or as featured in your local TV station. And that's something that is priceless. If you can earn that media, you're going to use that forever.
Now, what do you see with a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs trying to do it, their mistakes, if you will, in PR?
So, small business owners really have the best advantage of any type of business owner right now, because what public relations does and technology today is that it levels the playing field. So you have small business owners have the same resources, the same technology. They can reach out to the same journalist and get featured the same way that any large business can. And sometimes large businesses have a lot of red tape and there might not have a focus on PR, where a small business owner will have an advantage. And a lot of times journalists, they want to help the underdog. They want to help the small business owner. They have the more interesting story. Their journey of how they started their business and why is fascinating and interesting. And, that's something that journalists really thrive to hear about more than the big corporate, announcement of a product launch or, XYZ services or, a financial type of statement.
Great. So do you think a small business owner can do all this on their own, or do they need someone like you?
Well, there's definitely ways to do it yourself PR, and that's why I created my course, so that small business owners or personal brands or marketing departments can easily learn all of my secrets that I did as an agency owner, that my agency served to clients, and at the very least, learn what to do and implement, whatever makes sense for that business to implement. But start doing it part-time yourself, start doing it part-time with maybe a freelancer. But as a business owner, if you carve out 1 or 2 hours a week to focus on your public relations efforts and do that consistently every week. And I like to say that public relations is a business practice. It's not marketing, it's not advertising. It's like part of the health of your business. It's like the diet, it's like taking your vitamins and eating right and working out every day. You want to do the same thing with your business. So if you do this consistently, you're going to attract media attention, and it's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. So once you get one, journalist to interview you, you'll get the, other media outlets will see, oh, this person was quoted in this publication. They must be an authority source. So it levels up your authority the more momentum you get. The big mistakes I see any business making, any size business, personal brands, business brands, is that they don't do it consistently. They'll do one press release, they'll try pitching one angle, they get frustrated, and then they're like, okay, we don't have time for this. We're not getting results. Public relations isn't worth it. So, if you don't have the right mindset of always on, always moving forward, even doing a little bit each week is better than nothing at all, is going to make a big difference. And, small business owners need coaches like you to say, hey, you need to carve out 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week for PR, just like you need to, outsource your accounting, like we talked about earlier. But if there is a budget to outsource, I think that is, you don't have to spend a lot of money on a big agency or even a lot of money on a small agency, because that can be expensive. You can hire a freelancer. The biggest thing with hiring, whether it's hiring somebody to work in-house handling your marketing and PR, or hiring a freelancer, or hiring an agency, is not having a full understanding of what you're hiring and what your expectations should be, and how you should measure success, asking the right questions. Because I'll be honest with you, public relations can be kind of mysterious, and business owners can be very quick to hire an agency and not know what they're getting into. And if they have to be responsible for delivering certain things to the person that's working with them, whether in-house, the freelancer, or the agency, in order for it's a collaboration, it's a joint effort. So the business owner needs to have an understanding of what PR is all about, what the expectations, and that's another, good reason to take my course. Maybe you're not going to be the one doing the public relations, but you will have a full understanding of what the possibilities are, the right questions, how you should, what you need to be reported on, and you'll be educated.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of business owners think, well, I'll just do some Facebook ads and there's my PR. And there's a difference between PR, marketing, and advertising. And I think a lot of business owners don't distinguish that. I was the PR person for Arizona Toastmasters for a year. And when I came to them with a whole marketing plan, they're like, why are we doing press releases? Why are we doing these outreaches to the media? Why are we doing all this? It's like, that's PR, people. Press release, public relations, get it? I'm putting us to them. I'm informing them. And they're like, well, this is going to take a lot of time and money. I'm like, time, this many dollars. You're a nonprofit. And it boosted the engagement up. And I think for small business owners, and you mentioned something that I could not agree with you more, is consistency. And do you see a lot of business owners? I think that's true without a lot of things in their business, but it's the consistency of PR and marketing. Can you give them an idea, like what a good consistent PR program is, if you will, for small business owners?
Sure. So you mentioned press releases. So, there's always going to be this headline that comes out every once in a while. Oh, the press release is dead. Well, it's not dead. It's just kind of a clickbaity headline to get you to read why it's not dead, So the press release today is in so many different formats. It could be a tweet, it could be a Facebook post, it could be something on LinkedIn, or it could be your traditional press release, or it could be all of them at once. It could be an Instagram post. If you're the Kardashians, you only use Instagram to announce your news, but you don't have to be the Kardashians to do that if your audience is on Instagram. So I like to recommend one press release, one news release, however you want to term it, a month, to keep it and to distribute that news so that it gets out to Google News. So you're reaching, you're in Google News. So now if journalists are searching for whatever your business is, let's say you own an Italian restaurant in Chicago, and you're putting out a release on, that you've now aligned yourself with this charity. So, when journalists, they start or end their search, Googling whatever the story they're writing on. So you want to come up in Google News, and the way to do that is to, after 30 days, it kind of like drops off of the first page. So you want to constantly have something out there in Google. So I like to recommend that consistency, and 2 angles a month. So the press release could be one of those angles. And then you have a second angle that you're maybe sending to different journalists directly. So in a very personalized type of pitch. Consistently following the media on the social media channel that makes sense. So Twitter is usually where the media are hanging out. Find out what reporters, that you want to be pitching, follow them on Twitter, interact with them and engage with them consistently before you start trying to sell them on a story about your brand or about whatever your press release is. So doing that on a at least weekly basis with that engagement with the media through social media, and then on a monthly basis through your different angles that you're pitching them. The other thing that this is more internal than it is outreach and PR, but it's super important. And that is, if you have somebody that is working internally or a freelancer or an agency, and whoever the point person is, and typically for a small business, the point person is the CEO or the business owner, right? You need to carve out time to engage with your PR professional, because they can't be on an island by themselves and figure out what's happening in the business. You need to engage with them, show up for meetings, schedule a weekly check-in for 15 minutes, show up, be engaged, read the agenda, read the reports, respond to emails. And this sounds like ridiculously like dumb, but I can tell you that I've worked with big clients where they don't show up, where, we have scheduled calls and they don't show up. There's not, and then 2 weeks go by and they're like, well, what happened? Like, what's going on? Like, where are my results? And it's not that we're not doing anything, but whoever's on the other end, the PR side of things, we're just trying to figure out like, okay, what can we do without the help of the business owner or the point of contact? So the communication and engagement with the person that is leading your PR is critical.
Totally agree. They can't get in your head, people. You need to get it out of your head so they understand your vision, your path. Now, can any type of business send out press releases?
Yeah, I mean, the only rule for a press release is it has to be newsworthy. If you're going to distribute it through a wire service, which I recommend doing, and it's a paid distribution, I like e-releases. They won't send it out if it's like a listicle type of article. It has to have news in it. It has to be some sort of an announcement, some sort of information that is, considered newsworthy. So it could be anything from, announcing a new hire, announcing a new product, announcing that maybe you're aligning with maybe it's a joint venture. It's that could be newsworthy, or you've partnered with another company, or you're collaborating, or you're going to be hosting this event. So you have your 5-day challenge. That could be a press release.
Absolutely. I think press releases are just such an easy way, and it also gets it out of your head in a very short, concise manner. And you mentioned something earlier too. It's all about that headline, because if that's not captivating, there's no opening at all. And what is one of I say, not the danger, but one of the things that you see that on headlines that fall flat, that get ignored?
Very generic headlines, and especially a headline if that doesn't have some sort of focused keyword phrase. So not just the brand name. So let's just say, Steve Feld, you are releasing your next book and you want to have, release, new book, and then the name of the book. So that maybe people that are following that, who's releasing a new book, journalists, like they're going to get that Google alert. And that's another thing, is that journalists subscribe to alerts when certain type of news from different industries comes out. Your book on, financial freedom, like that would be covered by small business journalists that are going to here to help, on a financial side for businesses. Mm-hmm. So they would get that alert. So making sure that the keyword phrases that you would think, like, journalists, what would a journalist be searching for to find my press release? they're not going to, they don't know, they're not going to know your small business name necessarily, because you're a small business. You're not Microsoft. You're not, they're not subscribing to La Gondola Chicago. That's the name of my sister and her husband's restaurant. That's a family owned business in Chicago. They're subscribing to maybe like, pizza news in Chicago. I don't know, but restaurant news in Chicago, like something broader that people that are covering like news, foodie news they want to know, they want to get that news right away. Maybe they have a wine bar that's opening, and they want to write about it. So you just have to make sure that you're thinking from the mind of the journalist who you would want to cover this. How would they be searching in Google to find this topic or theme?
Exactly. It's all about that famous radio station, with them. What's in it for me? The me is them. How can we benefit them?
Exactly.
And I'm a giver, and I like to give things to my audience. What is something that you can share and give to this audience?
Well, I mentioned my course, Modern PR Secrets, which is just recently launched, and there's 7 modules, and I would love to give one of those modules to your audience.
Oh, excellent. So we'll have the link to that in the show notes and below here, so we can get that taken care of. And then how else can they get a hold of you if they need your services?
Sure. Well, feel free you can reach out to me direct at lisa@thebuyergroup.com, and you can just put in the headline, Steve Feld, and ask me anything. I'm happy to answer and help you out with whatever you need. You can follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn, Lisa Buyer, and also Instagram, same handle, and Twitter. So feel free to reach out, connect with me, follow me. I tweet about and share a lot of my social PR and modern PR secrets on my social channels.
Excellent. Well, we will have all that contact information in the show notes. So please feel free, if you get stuck in those areas, don't try to do it all by yourself. Reach out to an expert who lives and breathes this stuff every single day. It's not your forte. It's not your specialty. It's Lisa's. Let Lisa do what she's good at. She'll take care of you. Any final words for our audience today, Lisa?
Well, I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that earned media really is priceless, and it's considered 8 times more credible than advertising. So just think about that. And one of the mistakes I see brands of all sizes making also is that they have this budget for advertising, but then when it comes to PR, there isn't a budget. And once those ad campaigns stop, they stop. Once you get featured in some sort of media outlet, you have that forever.
Oh, excellent advice. I'd like to thank you, Lisa, for being our guest today. And we'll have all the information below. If you like this, please make sure you subscribe or share it with your friends. We'd love to have your comments as well. Let us know how we're doing or any other ideas for future episodes. Once again, this is Biz Coach Steve Feld, wishing you and your business much success.
This episode is sponsored by Spotlight Books. Get your expert book completed in 30 days. If you don't have an expert lead magnet book about you and how you serve your market, then visit www.spotlight-books.com. Link is also in the show notes. Put a spotlight on your expertise. We hope you enjoyed today's topic. If you'd like to discuss how you can apply these strategies in your business, let us know. This episode is sponsored by Spotlight Books. Get your own expert book written about you in 30 days. Set yourself apart from the competition. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Also, feel free to give us your comments. We look forward to hearing from you on Biz Coach and Coffee.